In the number 10 spot, we have guns and bullets. And these are all found inside stuffed animals. Officers found gun parts and ammunition hidden inside children's stuffed animals. One of them was this Mickey Mouse doll you're looking at right now. This happened at Rhode Island Airport. The bag was owned by a father flying to Detroit. He was being investigated by the police and the FBI. The father was telling the police that he had no idea that these things were inside those stuffed animals. He was saying that when he bought them, they came with it. Kind of unbelievable story. But the police officer bought it and he was able to carry on with his travel, of course, without the stuffed animal. Moving on to 250 venomous snakes that a man tried to get through airport security, which took place in Argentina. Well, this dangerously comes in to number 9. So the man was identified as 51-year-old Carol. He's a Czech citizen en route to Spain when an airport officials made him open up his baggage at Buenos Aires International Airport. After police spotted the reptiles in the airport X-ray scanner, they found all these endangered species that were packed inside plastic containers, bags, and even socks. Authorities believe that this man was a courier for a criminal organization that smuggles in exotic species. Carol was sent off to jail, but he was released on a $2,500 bail. There was a court date that put him away for 10 years in prison. Something you don't see every day is this dangerous thing right here. And I'm talking about the suicide bomber's vest, and this comes in at number 8. The suicide vest was found in the Indonesia International Airport. The passenger who was carrying it was an explosives instructor. Also found inside of the bag was 30 electric matches and unopened packets of potassium chloride and titanium powder, which is highly combustible compounds which is used to make explosives. And these were the items that was inside of his carry-on baggage. So it asks the question whether or not he intended to blow up the plane that he was about to get on. This is a very scary moment and the exact reason why we have airport security. And now moving on into the number 7 spot, we have a dead body that was found. Back in 2010, 2 German women were caught by security when they were found traveling with a dead person. The deceased was identified as a 91-year-old man. They pushed him in a wheelchair and put sunglasses on his face so no one will know that he isn't alive. When people asked about him, his wife just said, he's old, he's sleeping. But then security realized, he's sleeping, but why isn't he breathing? So now they got caught, and now they're facing charges of giving notification of death. So when someone dies, you have to tell the authorities or the governments. You can't just go on with life. It needs to be reported, documented. Human skull fragments comes into the number 6 spot. Passengers in Fort Lauderdale, Florida was seriously delayed in the airport back in 2013 when airport security confiscated what appears to be clay pots that was in a checked baggage. However, the pots contained fragments of human skull. According to the airport security, the passengers didn't realize that their souvenir contained human skull fragments. So just like that father who bought those stuffed animals and had no idea that there's weapons inside, same story with them. Maybe they read about his story and thought, hey, maybe we can get away with it too. Well, it turned out that the pieces of human skull, it wasn't a security threat. It was actually for science. And the police investigated it and realized that it wasn't a part of any crime scenes that they know of. So they let them through. Coming in at number 5, we have a 2-month-old baby tiger that was found in a woman's suitcase who was flying from Bangkok to Iran. Authorities found the baby cub drugged and hidden within clothes. The cub is now under the protection of Thailand's Department of National Park Wildlife and Plant Conservation. This tiger is a part of threatened and endangered species. Bangkok's International Airport hosts flights for more than 30,000 people each year, and it has become a major hub of Asian wildlife smuggling, unfortunately. It's not often that a little baby tiger is being smuggled, but what is common is snakes, turtles, and other exotic reptiles. Okay, so let's talk about this shocking 8-year-old boy that was found in someone's luggage. And he was found when he was going through an x-ray machine, and this comes in at number 4. Border control officials have discovered the suitcase after the image was seen on their display monitors. It was a disturbing x-ray picture of a small boy. I mean, is this real life right now? What is going on? The boy was 8 years old from Ivory Coast, and border officials said that he was in a terrible state. The mother and father was arrested when they attempted to smuggle him out of the country. The boy's father said that he wanted to bring his son into Canary Islands with him. Okay, moving on, take a look at this picture right here. This was a bag of eels that was discovered in a passenger's carry-on at the Miami International Airport and it electrifies into the number 3 spot. Discovered was 22 live eels to go along with 163 marine tropical fish, turtles, and coral. The passengers tried to get them into Maracaibo, Venezuela. The passengers was of course arrested and charged. The smuggling wildlife was eventually handed over to the US Fish and Wildlife Service. What gets even weirder than that was another person found in the suitcase, but this time it was a 2-month-old baby. The mother who smuggles comes in to number 2. An infant was discovered when it went through an x-ray machine at Nanoy Aquino International Airport, which is located in the Philippines. The mother was 25 years old from Papua New Guinea. She was a nurse graduate who tried to leave the country, but she didn't have the correct documentations for the 2-month-old. So she decided, you know what? I don't need documentation. I'm gonna put my baby into the suitcase and go fly. I'm not really sure how suffocating your kid, potentially killing them, is worth taking a risk on. But for her, filling out paperwork, this solution that she did was way better than doing that. So finally, we have all made it to the craziest thing found by airport security, and we're talking about 18 severed heads, and this comes in to number. Customs agent found the human head still covered in skin and wrapped in plastic at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. US Customs and Border Protection are currently investigating whether this foreign shipment is legitimate medical specimens. If it was for medical reasons, this would be okay, but if not, well, we have a huge investigation on 12 deaths. These people were beheaded, who knows where their body is, and their heads are being shipped around the world. Can you imagine working border control that day and you're looking for guns and weapons, but then boom, here's a head, here's another one. I really do hope that this is for science and this wasn't a murder scene. Let's get started with this list at number 10 with the man caught smuggling spiders inside of a gaming cartridge. On the outside, these gaming cartridges looked innocent enough, but upon opening up the cartridge, police found 73 spiders stuffed into each game. This is the weirdest thing to try to smuggle into a country. Was this a part of some revenge scheme, or does this person just really like spiders? Now at number 9, we're talking about a wheelchair-bound passenger that was caught smuggling gold. Customs officials arrested a 63-year-old man after he was trying to use his wheelchair as a cover in order to smuggle gold at one of India's airports. During an interrogation, he admitted he was smuggling 4 bars that he kept in the pockets of his shorts that he was wearing underneath his pants, and it was tied with rope. Flying our way into number 8 is a Russian man who tried to open the door mid-air. This is a really crazy story, guys. He was taken to court where he was fined for attempting to open the door of a plane, which scared the passengers and sent the crew into panic. Apparently he'd been drinking a lot of alcohol on the plane. Okay, so I'm not sure what all the charges were, but when he was set free, he had to pay about $800 in fines. Coming up at number 7, we have an airport that was on lockdown after a man threatened to blow up a plane. Witnesses said the man tried to enter the cockpit with a detonator before he was taken down by passengers. He was restrained shortly after the plane took off. This is from Melbourne to Kuala Lumpur. This is a really recent story, guys. This was just in the news. The man's wife claimed that her husband was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Wildlife smuggling kingpin comes into this list at number 6. Authorities have arrested a Japanese man who was heavily involved in the illegal wildlife trade when he attempted to smuggle more than 250 reptiles out of Indonesia. He was arrested after customs officials found 181 lizards, 65 snakes, 7 turtles in his luggage. They seized 12 different species, 3 of which are endangered. Next up at number 5 is a man arrested for smuggling dozens of exotic birds into LAX. This man was taken into custody after border protection officials found 50 live birds and 43 dead birds that were concealed in his luggage. He arrived at Los Angeles International Airport from Vietnam, and this is when officials immediately seized the birds and they put them into quarantine. He was arrested and charged with smuggling goods into the United States, which is a felony offense if convicted. He could face up to 20 years in a federal prison. Making our way into number 4, we will be talking about an airport worker who tried to smuggle heroin wrapped as Christmas presents. When airport officials checked in his bag, they were shocked to discover that the man had been attempting to smuggle 13 pounds of heroin that has a street value worth of more than $2 million. He was arrested and could face a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years in prison if convicted. Maybe him and Birdman can just live in a jail forever. Just forget about him in there. Alright, next up at the number 3 spot is a woman caught smuggling leopard and elephant parts. She was detained after customs discovered that she was carrying leopard skin, ivory, and other African wildlife products. The 62-year-old woman had 3 leopard skins, 4 kilograms of ivory, and 9 elephant tails. The total value of these goods is estimated to be around $88,000. Crews Cruising into number 2 spot, we have a grandma accused of smuggling in $500,000 in cocaine. I mean, grandma, what are you doing? This 63-year-old woman is behind bars after she was caught smuggling $500,000 worth of cocaine through Detroit's Metro Airport. After airport security searched through her belongings, they discovered that she had 13 kilograms of cocaine in her suitcase. Her defense attorney argued that she was just a drug mule and that she has some serious mental problems. And finally, the number 1 spot, we have women who were caught smuggling 13 pounds of horse genitals at a DC airport. What? Did I just read that right? 13 pounds horse genitals. Well, I guess we heard it right. Altogether, airport officials discovered that these 2 women were smuggling in 40 pounds of horse meat, which included 13 pounds of horse genitals, and they were also hiding 3 liters of yak milk, whatever that is. The meat was hidden inside of juice boxes, and they claimed that it was for medical purposes. That's what every person says when they get caught with drugs, right? But actually, none of these women were charged with anything.
Okay, coming into number 10, we have Lucifer the Haunted Horse. Now, he is a horse statue at Denver Airport, and I do not feel good about him. The official name for this monstrosity is Blue Mustang, and he is legit terrifying, and so is his history. Look at those illuminated, glowing red eyes, like absolutely no. So Lucifer fell on its creator, sculptor Luis Jimenez. The 9,000-pound horse fell on his leg, severing an artery, and he died. There's a whole conspiracy sect that claims that the airport is part of a wider satanic cult. Cool. Also, apparently the airport is built on an ancient native burial ground. Great, not feeling so good about Denver. Coming into number 9, we have Terminal 3 at Manchester Airport. In unearthed archived documents, it seems that since the 1970s, staff at the UK's Manchester International Airport have been experiencing some scary goings-on. The spooky goings-on seem to be around Terminal 3, which stands on the top of an old RAF building. This was also home to a squadron in World War II. Old documents show that staff hated being alone in the building, and a few claim to have seen ghosts. One man in 1971 wrote a report detailing how he saw an old man who he thought was the ghost of a dead night watchman. These days, people see and hear slamming doors when there's no one there. A spokesman for Manchester Airport said, "We're often reminded of the myths and legends attached to some of the terminals, and many of the people who work here have had their own experiences." He continued by saying, "We've even been part of a radio show with a psychic who assured us of the presence of spirits walking in the hallways." Check out this creepy abandoned ghost airport in Cyprus at number 8. Nicosia Airport has been abandoned since 1974 when the Turkish troops invaded. The island is now split into Turkish and Greek areas, each now with their own airports. The old airport sits rotting and derelict. Oh, and it's covered in bird poo. Terrifying. Even old planes sit outside in the building totally neglected. Whether or not this building is actually haunted by ghosts remains to be seen, but it certainly looks like it. I wouldn't want to spend an evening alone there. Okay, something a little bit different at number 7, we have the ghosts of Flight 401. Now this isn't necessarily specific to an airport, but the ghosts of Flight 401 haunt an airline. In December 1972, Eastern Airlines Flight 401 crashed into the Florida's Everglades swamp. 101 people on board died. There were some survivors though. The plane was badly damaged but not totally destroyed, so areas of it were salvaged for parts. On planes where 401 spare parts had been used, it was reported that passengers spotted ghosts and crew members saw apparitions of their dead co-workers. The following 4 years were filled with incidents and sightings, mainly involving the pilot Don Repo. He would appear on board other Eastern Airline flights, guiding staff through tricky situations. John G. Fuller wrote a book called The Ghosts of Flight 401, but later attempts to get to the bottom of the paranormal goings-on were squashed by Eastern Airlines. Coming into number 6, we have Briefcase Man at Heathrow. Briefcase Man hasn't actually been seen recently, but he caused quite a stir in 1948. On a fateful night in March, a plane from Brussels was landing at Heathrow amid thick fog. The plane crashed, killing all but 5 passengers. As employees and emergency services tried to attend to the scene and help injured passengers, a man wearing a hat, walking through the fog and also wearing civilian clothes, calmly asked the rescue team if anyone had seen his briefcase. Later, a man fitting his description was found dead in the wreckage. Since 1948, reports of the same man have been rife until around 1970, when he seems to have disappeared. Coming Coming in at number 5, we have Bangalore Airport White Sari Lady. Bangalore International Airport is famously haunted by a woman wearing a white sari. The woman seemingly haunts the cargo section of the airport and has been spotted on several occasions, including by a pilot who thought the lady had lost her way. Sightings have been rife since 2008. Airport workers and even passengers have reported seeing the woman, who has flowing hair. Some even report seeing her standing headless. Great. While the rumours of the White Lady are rife, someone has yet to catch her on camera. Coming into number 4, we have the ghost at Doha Airport. This footage was reportedly shot at Hamad International Airport, situated in Doha, Qatar. The somewhat grainy footage shows a deserted corridor until a figure with long hair walks through 2 walls. Now, the video has had 127,000 views, although some people have questioned the authenticity. Coming into number 3, we have another piece of footage at a ghost in an airport. In this CCTV footage shot in July 2016 at an unnamed airport, we seem to see a ghost swishing through the background. To me, the figure looks very female, and I think she's probably wearing a pencil skirt or a dress. Maybe she's a dead flight attendant. Honestly, who knows, and like the one before, some people have been saying that actually this footage isn't legit. Coming into number 2, we have the Bangkok airport spirits that caused a plane crash. Allegedly. Okay, watch me even try and pronounce this. Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport. Yeah, we'll try that again. Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport is famously haunted by a whole bunch of ghosts. The airport is reportedly built on an old haunted swamp and part of a cemetery, just for a double whammy. It seems contractors even built the airport over the top of bodies, which didn't really sit well with them. A former airport director admitted that they had to build a condominium at the airport for the ghosts. Basically, they'd built many spirit houses, but actually that wasn't enough for them. Condominium just for the ghosts. I mean, being dead sounds pretty sweet. The managing director of Thai Airways blamed a 2013 plane crash on vengeful spirits. Mr. Sorajak Kasansuvan encouraged a ceremony of appeasement following the accident that injured 14 people. Okay, so this isn't the only haunted Thai airport either. At number 1, we have some truly harrowing footage. We have ghost passengers at Phuket Airport. In 2017, footage was shot at Phuket International Airport that seemingly shows ghost passengers trying to board a plane that doesn't exist. Figures were seemingly running down a gangway with no plane at the other end. Now, this baffled the online community when it was uploaded to the internet. Some people suggested that it was passengers who were rushing down the gangway to meet a jet. Then they discovered that actually there was no plane attached and, it was all a big accident. Although, if that's the case, why are they running? And also, if there's no plane at the end, why aren't any of them turning back? Also, you can't just bop down a random gangway at an airport. Security and airline staff aren't on board with that kind of slapdash behavior. Scary, the footage is genuinely scary.
Starting things off at number 10 with the sword hidden inside of an Eiffel Tower statue. An 8-inch double-edged knife was concealed and detected in a replica statue of the Eiffel Tower in a carry-on bag at the airport in Oakland. Why would anyone need something like this in their carry-on bag? What is this person up to? I bet you I could take a wild stab at it. Number 9 brings us over to the survivors' belongings from the earthquake in Haiti. A lot of distraught families in Haiti were scrambled to grab their most important possessions from the wreckage before they were able to flee to safety. However, one man came off a flight from Haiti after the earthquake with a suitcase with nothing but cash and porn. So I guess he just grabbed the 2 things that was just the most valuable to him. For me, my safety is more valuable than money and porn. He brought no clothes, no keepsakes, no important paperwork, just the cash and just the naked people. Next up, number 8, we have a baby. I think it's common sense to know that you shouldn't place your baby through the X-ray scanner where the carry-on luggage goes, right? Wrong. One couple was arrested in United Arab Emirates when they tried to smuggle their young son who didn't have a visa into the country by packing him inside of a carry-on bag. Of course, security discovered the baby in the bag because of the X-ray machines. Like, what are these people thinking? What are they gonna, like, they're putting this thing in this machine. What do you think that machine does? Like, it sees inside of things. Number 7, we're talking about an aggressive search that left a traveler covered in urine. A man was traveling to a wedding, but he was left humiliated after he had to endure an invasive invasive pat-down search at the airport. Thomas Sawyer was selected for an enhanced search after going through the scanner. He was a bladder cancer survivor, and he has a urostomy bag that collects his urine from an opening in his abdomen. He tried to tell them about his medical condition, but during the pat-down they broke the seal, causing urine to spurt down his clothes. He was forced to walk through the airport soaked in his own urine. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not only smelling urine here. Smelling a lawsuit. Massive flames makes its way into this list at number 6. There was an incident in Atlantic City when a passenger's checked bag exploded into 3-foot high flames. The fire was caused by a leaking can of hairspray and a lighter which sparked when the bag was being loaded onto the conveyor belt. So here's a life lesson for you guys. Don't put flammable stuff into one concealed container right next to a lighter. Mickey Mouse takes the number 5 spot. The frame of a .40 caliber gun, a loaded magazine, and a firing pin were stuffed inside of a Mickey Mouse stuffed doll that was in a young boy's carry-on bag. The TSA agent stopped the man from bringing this dismantled gun and ammo onto the plane. However, the officers concluded that there was no threat at any time to air safety, so they actually allowed the man and the son to continue on their way, but after confiscating their weapon. I don't know about you guys, but I would have a few more questions. They wouldn't be getting on that plane. Number 4 is cocaine Easter eggs. US officials have arrested a man who tried to smuggle cocaine into ordinary looking Easter eggs. People are just trying to be clever, but you can't fool the system. Esteban Galtis was arrested after security confiscated more than 6 kilograms of cocaine hidden inside of his luggage. If he is convicted on a drug trafficking charges, he could face a maximum sentence of life in prison. The cocaine has an estimated street value of more than $100,000, and the US officials said that their suspicions were raised by the sight of Easter eggs in his luggage just 2 days before Christmas. So buddy, you have the wrong holiday here. So I guess if you're tempted to use this technique to smuggle cocaine, do it near Easter time! Like, oh my god, come on. Moving up this list at number 3 is an assault that nearly caused brain damage. A woman named Robin Kastner was arrested by TSA screeners and airport police as she attempted to pass through the gate to board her flight with a bottle of contact lens solution in her bag. She was grabbed by the arms, pinned to the ground, and her head was slammed so hard into the inspection table that it caused a concussion and possibly brain damage. She was locked in a cell and later released and charged with obstruction of justice, but because of the security footage of the assault, she was able to launch a lawsuit against the airport for $10 million. Number 2, we have the story about 18 severed heads. Surprisingly, packing 18 severed heads into your luggage isn't a problem if you have all the paperwork, but packing 18 severed heads into your luggage and then the airline lost your luggage is a huge problem. Back in 2016, these misplaced severed heads made headlines when they were misplaced at the Chicago O'Hare International Airport. They were intended to be used as medical specimens, but there was a mix-up with some paperwork. Can you just imagine your security? Zip, you just open it and there's just heads there? What do you do? What do you do? Finally, number 1, we're talking about people who have attempted to smuggle in a dead body. I mean, some people would rather face prosecution charges in order to avoid paying extra to transport a corpse. You would be surprised at how many people would actually attempt this. This was a family that tried to smuggle a 91-year-old dead man onto a flight by putting him into sunglasses, and they sat him in a wheelchair. This is no movie. This is no joke. I wonder if anyone, like, who would get away with this? I'm not too sure. I'm not sure why these people think they're so clever they can trick the system. I mean, in this situation, they tried to bring a dead man through security and board him onto a plane. How would this be successful? This list, we're in at number 10. So we're talking about a man who smuggled in 2 pigeons in his pants. I'm after going through security, it was like, whoa, you got big bulges going on. And then you're walking by going like, that's right. I'm not sure why he felt the need to bring 2 pigeons alongside him. So this 23-year-old man was stopped by customs, and this took place at Melbourne's airport in Australia. The officer searched his bags and found a vitamin container that had 2 bird eggs inside of it. This rose suspicion, so the officer did a more thorough search and found that the man was concealing 2 live pigeons in his pants. The birds were wrapped in a padded envelope, and he planned on keeping them in this situation for a 10-hour-long flight. This is totally animal cruelty. I mean, at the end of the flight, are these pigeons still going to be alive? Probably not. So the man was arrested on the scene because it is illegal to bring wildlife into Australia. When you travel to Australia, they're very strict. So now he could be facing up to 10 years in prison. Was this worth it? I don't think so. Well, not to me, maybe for him. Look out, because in at number 9, someone tried to smuggle a grenade filled with marijuana. Because you know, let's try to hide weed in something that's not suspicious. So let's put it inside of a grenade. I'm not really sure who thought this one through, but it happened. People are just so clever. I'm pretty sure if you want to smuggle something illegal, don't conceal it inside something that is a deadly explosive, something that's even more illegal. So this passenger was stopped by TSA officers after his bag went through an x-ray. I mean, what was this guy thinking? You know your bags go through the x-rays, they're gonna see the grenade inside. Did he think he was gonna get away with it? Moving right along into number 8 spot, we have a woman who attempted to bring a lipstick stun gun through security. So this happened at a small international airport in Vermont. A young woman was pulled aside by security because she had a suspicious lipstick case in her carry-on. When the agents took a closer look, they realized the lipstick was actually a 350,000 volt stun gun. Obviously the passenger had to surrender her lipstick, and this is to the airport security. But hold on, I don't know what the question, like why do you have a stun gun? Obviously that's the first question that comes into my mind. But the stun gun was 350,000 volts. I mean, why was it so powerful? What were you planning on doing? Jolting the plane? Alright, coming into number 7, we have a seal head. Yeah, that's right. Back in 2004, a biology professor was stopped by airport security because they found a severed head of a harbor seal in his carry-on. The man claimed that he discovered the seal head during his vacation, so he decided to just cut it off and he was going to take it back home with him for educational purposes, so why not? But haven't you heard of the internet or just like googling seals and like photoshopping the head off? Or I'm pretty sure you can go to Google and type in seals head decapitated and you'll find many pictures. You can print those off, make a 3D print. So ultimately the airport officials confiscated the head, but they actually allowed the man to board the plane. We are now in at number 6, and airport officials actually confiscated a mace. Not the pepper spray mace, I'm talking about like a real mace, like the big weapon mace. It's like that heavy club that has a metal head and spikes that barbarians use. Well, this mace was confiscated by a traveler at a Chicago airport back in 2013. The mace measured more than a foot long, and it was connected by a long chain to a heavy spiked ball. Imagine this thing fell out of the overhead luggage compartment and it would like totally kill someone. That's brutal. Coming in at number 5, customs actually found 200 live tarantulas inside of a passenger suitcase. This occurred in a Danish airport, and the officials also found an assortment of other insects inside, including bugs, crickets, grasshoppers, and millipedes. The animals were collected by a German couple on their recent trip to Peru, and they were put inside of a plastic containers and tubes, and they were all hidden in their clothing and shoes. In at number 4, we have this guy who tried to smuggle his friend out of Peru, so we're talking about smuggling another human being. The man was found curled up in a suitcase at Jorge Chavez International Airport after a sniffer dog smelled him out. Police said that the man that was hidden inside the suitcase was trying to flee the country, and he's now been arrested along with his friend. I mean, did you guys think that this would actually work? How would you get him through that scanner and not pick up like a human body through it? And the flight, how long was the flight? There was no air inside. From smuggling people to smuggling drugs. And right now we're in at number 3. So can you guys believe that someone tried to smuggle in $9 million of opium hidden inside porcelain cats? So millions of pounds worth of opium was seized at JFK Airport in New York. Authorities were suspicious of the shipment containers that arrived from Thailand, so they decided to crack it open. In total, 205 pounds of drugs were found. The estimated value of these street drugs was over $9 million! That's a whole lot of drugs, kinda sucks for the dealer. As a matter of fact though, the shipment actually made it through x-rays without being detected. It was actually the airport staff that felt like something was off. However, there's been no arrests made. Okay, so we're almost in at number 1, but right now we're in at number 2, and we're talking about this man who smuggled in a whole lot of animals. I'm talking about 2 leopards, 2 panthers, and a black bear. What was this guy doing? Trying to create the Wizard of Oz or something? All you need is a lion and a tiger, and then you got the whole gang. He also had 2 macaque monkeys inside the suitcase, but he abandoned them when they were becoming too noisy. So he just kind of left them at the airport. So this happened at the airport in Dubai. All of the animals were very young. They were sedated and placed into a flat cage or canisters to prevent them from moving. So of course this man was caught. This is just stupidity. This is animal cruelty. How would you like it if we sedated you, threw you in a suitcase, and flew you all around the world on an 18-hour flight? So if this guy was successful, which it's very hard to get through security these days, but he would have sold the animals off for $5,000 a piece. Okay, so we finally made it into number 1 spot. Let's find out the craziest things found by airport security, but quickly let's recap. So we've had 2 pigeons that was hidden inside of a man's pants. We had someone trying to hide marijuana in a grenade. A woman brought a lipstick stun gun. This stun gun was over 350,000 volts. We had a biology professor who chopped off the head of a seal just to bring the head to class for education. Well, now in at number 1, it gets super crazy because someone tried to bring on a plane a live crocodile. And you know how the whole time I was saying it's hard to get things through security, through the x-rays, through the sniffing dogs, through I don't know what other methods people come up with. Well, somehow, some way, this crocodile actually boarded the plane. So when the crocodile was on the plane, it turns out that the crocodile escaped from the luggage that it was being contained in, and it made it onto the plane where everyone was sitting. Everyone got scared, ran to one side of the plane became unstable, and it actually crashed. 19 people were killed, including the pilot. This is a true story. I'm pretty sure, you can't believe everything on the internet, but I looked at different sources, and it seems to be a true story. And how it ended was the crocodile actually survived, becoming the only survivor of the flight, so this might become the first time in history that an animal survived the plane crash and not people. So the crocodile that survived, it actually got killed by someone picking up with a machete and just chopping it right in half. Whether that's a true part of the story, I don't know.
At number 10, a contortionist. In 2011, a lot of people were having valuables stolen on the route between Girona Airport and Barcelona, Spain. It was only an hour-long bus trip and the bags stayed in the baggage compartment. So, what was happening? It turns out a contortionist was working with accomplices to steal laptops and other valuables on the frequent trips. One man would load a suitcase onto the bus at the airport and then another man would pick it up in Barcelona. The contortionist in the suitcase would get out in between the stops and look for valuables with a flashlight. So the best joke about this one comes from a police spokesman. I believe this is what the British call an open and shut case. Because it's a suitcase. It's just funny. At number 9, a man on the run. So another time in 2015, a man tried to escape a country through a bag. In Lima, Peru, a friend was dragging a really heavy bag and was acting nervous. He acted so nervous that officials asked him to open his bags. He did try to talk himself out of it, but the officials were unrelenting. So he gave up and opened his bag. The man inside the bag that was hiding was greeted by a dog that was sniffing the bag, which kind of a nice greeting. And then the man in the bag got out of it pretty casually, just knowing that he was caught. There was no use running away. Now, they didn't even make it to bag check. Did they really think they were gonna make it and flee Peru? If the man got checked in as a bag, there would still be the x-ray scan and they would see a human body in there. I just really want to know how far they think this plan would go. All the way? I doubt it. At number 8, we have a boy being smuggled. Now, another time in 2015, a 19-year-old Moroccan woman was looking nervous as she waited to cross the border. She was crossing at a land border crossing at Ceuta, a Spanish enclave city in North Africa. When the guards put her suitcase through a scanner, they discovered an 8-year-old boy in her suitcase. Just think about it. See the photo. So it turns out she was trying to smuggle the boy into Europe for her husband, the boy's father. At the border, she was detained as well as the father of the child eventually when he showed up. Now, since you obviously shouldn't try to put a person in a suitcase, especially a child, the Ceuta magistrate ordered the father to be held on charges of human rights abuse. Now, if you have the child's permission like David Dobrik did in one of his recent videos, the line, who knows? Plus, that was only for a couple minutes, not for an entire border crossing. But on to number 7, a YouTuber. An Australian YouTuber named Adam Saleh put out a YouTube video where he flew on a Tiger Airways flight in a suitcase. Now, it shows his friend zipping him in a suitcase and then picking him up after the flight. But Tiger Airways themselves tweeted back at Saleh and said that they saw a bunch of inconsistencies in the video. So no, he didn't make it across, all the way, in the suitcase. So the airway pointed out they had footage of him boarding the plane, plus that he was too heavy to be put on board as luggage as per their restrictions, and they also said he would have suffocated, or at least become a popsicle. Now, Saleh didn't expect the media attention as it was a prank for entertainment on his channel, but you do have to expect that airlines don't want people attempting this if they think it's true. If you think plane delays are bad now, just imagine if airlines keep finding people in suitcases. It's gonna be a big holdup. Really? At number 6, we have some Walmart shenanigans. So years ago, a guy went to Walmart with his buddies when they were bored. You know, how it is in the burbs. So that particular Walmart had had a lot of thefts lately, and this is important to remember. So when the group of teens got there, they were looking around trying to think of something to do when the main guy telling this story sees a suitcase. He gets many ideas, but convinces his buddies of one for sure. The manager of the store already answered their question about megaphones and is now seeing this group of teens cast glances around the store. So he's a bit suspicious. So then, the group of teens gets the main guy into the suitcase and they walk around the store with the talking suitcase, making noises, generally stirring a little fun among the other customers. So a bunch of people are giving them weird looks, but overall they're just having a grand old time. But then the manager spots the teens again and he just sees two guys dragging a heavy suitcase towards the front of the store. So with all of the thefts lately, he thinks the youths are just trying to run off with a bunch of liquor. Now, the teens catch on to the fact that the manager has caught them and the main guy escapes from the suitcase just so they can all make a run for it. Now the group of guys runs out with the manager hot on their heels and a cop that was sitting in the parking lot throws on its lights to try to chase them down. So the cop catches up and tells them that he got calls from the manager and they found the suitcase inside, but no liquor. So then the cop asks them what was in the suitcase. And so the main guy, who hid in the suitcase, just raises his hand. So the full story, if you want to read it in detail, is on Reddit by Pyronius. It's a fun one, I like the way he narrated it. On to number 5, bag on a train. Swiss officials found an Etrian man hiding in a suitcase. So it looks like the 6-foot guy shoved his body into a carry-on, and it's pretty unbelievable. It turns out the man was trying to catch a train from Italy to Switzerland without being caught. And the thing is, when you're that tall, trying to be confined into a carry-on, it's not comfortable, and he was making noises of discomfort, obviously. So those noises drew the attention of security who went to investigate the bag, and the man emerged from the bag with his hand unzipping the luggage, and then he popped out. Now, this was a first for officials who had seen people hiding in trunks of cars, but not luggage trunks. And the video itself, it's just kind of amazing to watch. Just the zipping, and then his arm comes out, and his head pops out, and he's like, hello! He doesn't say hello, he's just detained by officers, but... Now, to number 4, remember to pack your wife. So, a 60-something man was traveling from Nice to Moscow. He had a really big suitcase and was struggling to pull it along, because it appeared quite heavy to officials. Now, as I said, the officials, they got on and they discovered something unauthorized packed in his bag. It was his wife. His wife is a Russian woman in her 30s, and he believed that she wouldn't be allowed into the EU. And so his belief did have a hint of truth in it, since non-EU citizens wouldn't be allowed, but the thing is his wife would, since she is married to an EU citizen. Him. Now, I find it funny that his first idea isn't to look up or double check that she isn't allowed or the different things that can be authorized, but his mind immediately went to, well, honey, if you want to go to Nice, you gotta get in the bag. Like, gee, how does his mind go there first? You know, think it through, people. Think it through. On to number 3. A baby. Now this is horrifying, okay? Back in 2016, a woman on an Air France flight from Istanbul to Paris allegedly smuggled her baby on a plane. Now, 3.5 hours into the flight, witnesses noticed that something in her bag was moving when she opened it, and they saw a baby girl. Now, this reportedly happened because the paperwork for her baby was not in order. It is said that she was past customs when she was stopped from boarding with the baby, and reports say that she bought another ticket, hid the baby, and went to a different gate to board a different flight. Now, in this case, this means the baby made it past the initial screening, but then was stopped afterwards. Also, once you get to the gate of an airplane, people only check passports and boarding passes, so it does seem plausible that the baby was hidden in the woman's cloth bag at this time. Still though, just think of the safety of that baby. It's just in a carry-on on a flight for hours. No, it's just too much. At number 2, guess what we have? A baby, again. So again, this year, not 3 years ago, this year, someone tried this. In September, officials explained that a US woman was carrying a 6-day-old baby in her luggage. They said she passed through the airport immigration counter without declaring that she was traveling with the baby, and they said that there was intent to hide that she was with the baby. She was caught at the boarding gate by airline personnel who searched her oversized suitcase and found the child inside the oversized suitcase. So she was arrested after she was found to not have any travel documents for the baby. Then after the woman was arrested, she gave officials an affidavit at the airport. The affidavit was allegedly from the baby's mother giving permission to take the child into the US, but it wasn't signed by the mother. Therefore, it's inadmissible in court. So now the case is being handled by anti-human trafficking investigators from Philippines National Bureau of Investigation because it's a very serious thing. You shouldn't try to smuggle a baby that is not yours into another country. I don't know why I'm staring off into the distance, but it should... People, you know? Now let's move on to number 1, a prison bust. So in January of 2017, a Venezuelan woman went to the prison where her husband is. She went along with their 6-year-old daughter, rolling along some of her daughter's toys in a bright pink suitcase. Then, while she was there for a visit, her husband popped into that suitcase in hopes for an escape. Now, their escape plan failed as guards noticed her having trouble pushing the overstuffed suitcase. And when they found her husband, just curled up in the suitcase along with the toys, they sent him right back to his cell to serve out the rest of his 10-year sentence for car robbery. Now, because of the attempted help in the prison escape, the wife was arrested and their daughter was taken into temporary custody by social services. So, prison escapes in a bright pink bag might not be the best bet. Just throwing that out there. Maybe. Who knows?
Starting us off, number 10, we have this. Is this real life right now? These are birds that were found in this guy's pants. This 23-year-old man was caught traveling from Dubai to Melbourne, Australia with birds shoved down his pants. The guy actually made the trip to Australia, and it wasn't until security officers stopped this man because they found bird eggs in the passenger's vitamin container. Also, the security heard the birds cooing, so that was another dead giveaway. This man was searched and the birds were saved. When it comes to Australia, they have a very strict and contained ecosystem, and foreign species, plants, or disease can be pretty catastrophic. Moving into number 9 on our list, we have a bomb vest. I kid you not, take a look at this. Imagine being an officer who goes through all the scans. Okay, next, and then all of a sudden you see this. I would be freaking out. I don't know what I would do. I would probably just quit. Well, TSA actually posted this onto their Instagram account at TSA. I didn't even know that this thing existed until I did the research for this video. I didn't know they had their own, social media. This picture was posted back 2013, and this was in someone's checked bag, and this was at the Indianapolis International Airport. The officers that day found 30 electric matches, a bag of potassium chloride, a bag of titanium powder, and a suicide vest. After investigation, officers found out these items were just used for training, and the explosives trainer was actually able to properly identify himself. At number 8, we have a skull that was found, and yes, we're talking about a human skull. In fact, we're talking about 6 human skulls that were discovered in someone's luggage when they went through airport security. Could a mass murderer be trying to flee the country with all of his victims? I mean, maybe. It could be plausible. Well, the story gets pretty creepy. 2 American tourists actually attempted to take these human skulls home after their trip from Greece as souvenirs. Greece does have the catacombs of Melos, and I'm assuming that these skulls were in there. So these 2 people decided, you know what, this is a great idea. We're gonna use these as souvenirs to remember our trip. And they actually brought human skulls to the airport. They told security officers they were fake, but after examining them, they were authenticated. They were real. I have no idea what they were thinking. At number 7, we have a bag of eels. Someone tried to sneak past TSA agents. How would security miss something like that? What was this person even thinking? It makes no sense to me. Did they think no one would catch them with a bag of eels? Oh, and it doesn't stop there. This person tried to sneak in 163 tropical fishes. I mean, that would suck being that person who has to count every single fish. Alright, fish number 1, fish 2, fish 3. The passenger was forced to surrender all the animals to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. From eels to now something much bigger at number 6. This next person really wanted to test the limits of security. Take a look at this. This is a computer hard drive, but more importantly, inside of it is a python. A smuggler tried to be crafty with this one. They actually made snakes on a plane a real thing.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! Everybody.
So this person was traveling to Barbados from Florida and thought it was a great idea to bring this massive snake on a plane. When the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, saw something weird on their monitor, they called in Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, they called in a bomb expert because they weren't sure. But after investigating it, it ended up being this python, and the snake was actually alive. The passenger was fined and the snake was taken into custody by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. I think this is animal cruelty, and this man should have some jail time. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Alright, number 5, take a look at this. This looks to be an Eiffel Tower souvenir, right? Well, you'd be so wrong. This person tried to be clever and very sneaky because this is not an ordinary Eiffel Tower. It's actually a double-edged sword. Take a look at this. When you take off the cover, it's a knife. The knife measures in over 30 centimeters. I mean, it's bigger than a ruler stick. It seems like this person went to a lot of trouble to get this done, and I'm sure he got arrested. I just wonder what they're gonna be able to craft up in prison. They might try, you know, the CN Tower. Moving into number 4, okay, I know iPhones have gotten really expensive, but for some reason I'm okay with Apple taking all my hard-earned money. I love going into debt for Apple. I don't know why. Well, we have this one guy who doesn't want to pay for iPhones. This man attempted to smuggle 94 iPhones. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of impressed with this one. I mean, this guy got caught, but I wonder if there are other people out there who attempted this who was able to get away with it. It must have been so embarrassing once this guy was caught, because I don't know if you guys can tell from the pictures, but he actually strapped some of these iPhones to his private areas. This guy clearly wasn't thinking, because I would be freaking out if I had to use the washer. But luckily, the iPhones have an IP68 rating, so it's pretty waterproof if an accident does happen. Okay, what the heck am I talking about right now? Let's move on. Like, am I talking about an IP rating when this guy pees himself? Moving into number 3, we have this. What do you guys think this is? When I first saw it, I'm thinking a lightsaber, but I was slightly wrong with that one. This is actually a lipstick that was found in a woman's carry-on bag. But that's not the scary part, because I wouldn't just be talking about, oh my god, a lipstick, that's absolutely terrifying. It ended up not being a lipstick. Well, it actually ended up being a 350,000 volt stun gun. This just went from 0 to 100 fast. I don't know what the intentions of this person is. You know, why do they have a stun gun? And it would be pretty scary if the stun gun was used in the plane and somehow it like short-circuited and the plane was having some electrical problems. And also, I wouldn't want to be sitting next to this person just in case you upset her. Number 2. Alright, so you know how we had a bomb vest, but that was just for testing? Well, security at the airport actually found 4 grenades in a passenger's bag. I tried to find out if they were live grenades. I wasn't able to find out. They might have been. All I know is that TSA was able to quickly spot it. They probably freaked out, cleared out the airport, got the bomb squad in, and they had to, you know, safely remove it. The men who tried to smuggle these in were arrested. Hopefully he has a bomb of a time in prison. I mean, what a dumb thing to do. Finally, number 1, we have 1,500 smuggled turtles that were still alive. The turtles were found smuggled in an abandoned bag at Manila Airport in the Philippines. I guess someone was about to get caught and they dipped hard. The turtles were worth over $100,000. I don't even know how turtles are worth that much. Apparently there were some rare turtles, including star turtles, red-footed turtles, skullcata turtles, and there were even red-eared sliders. Some of these are protected turtles, but someone clearly tried to take advantage of that. I think it's just so cruel, and look how they're all just like taped up like that. And I really hope that they were being sold as, you know, pets and not as food. And how the heck did someone try to smuggle in 1,500 turtles? How can you think, you know, I have a chance of not being caught? Starting all of this craziness in at number 10 with the man who attempted to smuggle gold bars up his butt. A male traveler was taken into custody at the airport in India after metal detectors revealed that he was concealing gold inside of his rectum. They found 12 gold bars that weighed 1.2 kilograms inside of his butt. Officials also flagged his bag, and they discovered that he was also concealing another 8 gold bars that were hidden in the back covers of some lighting equipment. So in total, he was hiding about 2 kilograms of gold. Let's just say his butt was worth about $114,000 that day. Next up, number 9, we have pigeons. A passenger who landed in Melbourne back in 2009 was stopped after he arrived from his 10-hour flight from Dubai after security discovered that he had attempted to smuggle in 2 live pigeons that were hidden in each sock and wrapped in padded envelopes for extra protection. I'm not really sure like what's gonna happen here. You're leaving with live birds when you land. Are they gonna be alive? I don't know. The birds miraculously made it out alive, and the man was arrested on the scene for just being stupid. Number 8 has us talking about the American Airlines controversy. The video shows a distraught mother holding her baby moments after a flight attendant had apparently forcibly taken a stroller from her. Witnesses on the plane said that the flight attendant violently took the stroller from this lady and hit her on the head, just missing the baby. This like just happened in the news, and this was after the United Airlines incident. Then the flight attendant tried to fight another passenger who was trying to stand up for the woman. Crazy story. Number 7, we got cocaine smugglers. 2 people are facing federal drug smuggling charges after flying from the Dominican Republic to New York with bags of cocaine taped around their legs. The Customs and Border Protection officers determined that the cocaine was held in place with multiple layers of tape, and it was valued at nearly $400,000. The two suspects were arrested and handed over to Homeland Security, where they will be prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office. And number 6 is heroin smugglers. We got more of the drugs, the drug dealers, yeah. For some reason they think they can get away with it. Well, 2 men are under arrest for attempting to smuggle heroin through the JFK airport inside of a dog carrier along with a dog. So they just put a whole bunch of cocaine near the dog because, you know, the dogs will be unaffected. Well, they were charged with drug possession and conspiracy after more than 22 pounds of heroin was found inside of the false bottom of a dog crate. The drugs were estimated to be worth at least $1 million. United Airlines controversy makes its way onto this list at number 5. This incident was captured on several devices on the aircraft that caused a huge PR nightmare for the airline. Basically, United Airlines overbooked a flight and they asked if, you know, any volunteers, would you get off, take the next plane, we'll give you some money in exchange, you know, some monetary compensation. Everyone declined. They were forced to select 4 passengers at random to leave the aircraft. Okay, you are leaving. While one man wouldn't give up his seat, he was dragged out of the plane by security. He was knocked out, like the security bashed his head, he was just knocked out like this. And his shirt was up, you can see his belly out, and it was just dragged like lifeless through this plane. Like, that is so traumatizing. Like, what is going on right now? So the man turned out to be a doctor, and he was filmed being brutally dragged off this plane and bleeding from his head. Apparently he didn't want to give up his seat because he had patients to go see the next day. Reasonable, right? Why not be like, hey, we need one more volunteer, and see if someone else will do it. Maybe offer $2 grand, $3 grand, $4 grand. It seems like a lot of money, but think about it. You guys lost almost $1 billion because of this. So heck, even offer this guy $100 million. You would have still saved money. I would get off for just $1 million, 100 mil. Raw animal brains comes into this list at number 4. A woman who was flying into Dallas Fort Worth International Airport was found with 22 pounds of illegal animal parts in her suitcase. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials confiscated raw brains, hearts, heads, tongues, feet, and other body parts from chickens. There's some pig parts in there, some cow parts in there as well. Was the woman really trying to eat these things? I mean, I'm really picky, but I don't know. These meat products are illegal because they are potentially carriers for harmful diseases that would seriously damage their agriculture. Number 3 brings us to the man who stabbed himself in the head. What? A man was taken to the hospital after he stabbed himself with a sharp object at Heathrow Airport in London. You know, one of the busiest airports in the world. He had passed through the airport security checks, and then he started cutting himself near the departure lounges. So what is this real life right now? 2 airline employees disarmed him before the police and paramedics arrived. Luckily, his injuries weren't life-threatening, but a crazy story, and I hope he got himself some help. Fort Lauderdale shootings makes its way into this list at number 2. An Army veteran who claimed that the government was controlling his mind by forcing him to watch ISIS videos, took out a gun from his checked baggage and opened fire in the baggage claim area, killing 5 people and wounding 8 others. The gunman was identified as 26-year-old Esteban Santiago, and he served in Iraq, but he was discharged for unsatisfactory performance. People were panicking and trying to find coverage because he would just go around shooting people without saying a word. Now at number 1, smuggling 20 tons of cocaine. A dozen current and former TSA officials and airport employees are facing charges that are related to a cocaine smuggling operation that has been in operation for at least 2 decades. I mean, wow. The suspects allegedly transported cocaine-filled suitcases through airport security at the airport in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and approximately 20 tons of cocaine made it through. Drug mules would drop off cocaine in suitcases at the airline's check-in counter, and one of the suspects would put them through the x-ray machine. And another suspect would have allowed the suitcase to pass through the security to make sure, you know, it avoids the detection along the way. That is a lot of cocaine, and this is quite the operation, but it's finally been busted after 2 decades. Alright, starting off this list, and at number 10 is a crocodile. Are you kidding me? Is this real life right now? Well, 10 years ago, a small airliner in the Democratic Republic of Congo crashed into a house and killed 20 people. The reason for this? Well, somebody smuggled a crocodile on board. It escaped and caused a panic. I guess the domestic flight laws are a lot more relaxed in some places because I wouldn't know where to start with how to smuggle a crocodile within Canada. Like, do I put it in my pants? Where's this croc going? It's not fitting in the overhead bin. I don't think it's gonna fit in my pants. I don't know how you get away with something like this. All right, well, next up, we have a baby tiger, and this little guy comes in at number 9. Okay, so technically this animal didn't actually make it onto the plane, but the owner definitely tried to get it onto the plane. Back in 2010, a woman was arrested for trying to smuggle a tiger cub onto a plane out of Thailand by drugging it and putting it in a suitcase filled with stuffed tiger toys. I mean, Carol Baskin, is that you? Did you get caught trying to smuggle one of your tiger cubs? And was this tiger cub's papa the one that ate your husband? All right, enough of being silly with that one. Number 8, well, we're talking about 18 monkeys. I mean, that is a lot of monkeys to get away with. I don't know if this person is monkeying around. And I don't know what it is about 2010 and smuggling animals, but a lot of these animals were smuggled in 2010. Well, for this one, again in 2010, a man in Mexico was arrested for attempting to smuggle 18 endangered monkeys underneath his shirt. Apparently, they were originally in a suitcase, but he transferred them so that the x-rays wouldn't harm them. I mean, how thoughtful are you, buddy? Alright, coming in at number 7, we have spiders. Back in 2009, a British man was arrested at the Rio de Janeiro airport for trying to smuggle spiders out of the country. These weren't just any spiders either. They were venomous and bird-eating spiders. Thank God this guy was randomly selected, because who knows what would have happened if these spiders escaped. The man apparently ran a pet shop where he was planning on selling the spiders as pets. Our number 6 spot goes to baboons. Over an hour into the flight from Yemen to Syria, a baboon was drugged and smuggled on board the plane. Well, it woke up and started to freak out. I mean, what else would it do? The baboon is probably so confused. It broke loose and started terrifying passengers. And trust me, baboons can be very scary. Apparently, this was just one of multiple baboons that the smuggler managed to get into the plane. The smuggler was obviously arrested, and the baboon, hopefully he was okay. Next up on our list, guys, at number 5, we have a python. I mean, why are people trying to smuggle very dangerous animals? I would try to smuggle like an ant or something, like something tiny in your pocket that you're for sure gonna get away with. And I don't know why I'm smuggling an ant. Like, I want to take an ant to Mexico. I want to take a Canadian ant to Mexico. But for some reason, people are trying to smuggle pythons. Well, have you guys ever seen the movie Snakes on a Plane? Maybe this was the inspiration for the smuggler. This one passenger apparently wanted to live it. He wanted to make this movie a reality. Call up Samuel L. Jackson and tell him, hey buddy, I made this happen. Well, they tried to smuggle a huge python onto a flight in Miami. Well, she had apparently coiled it inside of an external hard drive. This is a true story. It's hard to believe, I know. And they were able to stuff the external hard drive into their checked luggage. I mean, that's probably one of the most effective ways I've heard of people attempting to smuggle an animal. Like, they actually put it inside of an external hard drive. I don't even know how a python fits into something that small.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane!
And at number 4, even more snakes on a plane. So maybe that movie was based on like a reality, like based on a true story, inspired by true events. Well, don't ask me how, but somebody actually managed to successfully smuggle not 1, not 2, but 20 snakes onto a plane. After arriving in Moscow, authorities discovered 20 snakes stowed away in canisters, in bags, in carry-on luggages. The snakes were quarantined because the man didn't have any documentations for them, and I'm assuming the man was arrested. And I wonder what the punishment is for this. I mean, animal cruelty is a pretty serious crime, and I would say you should get at least a minimum of 5 years in jail. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Coming in number 3 on this list, we have monkeys. The woman in this next story at first successfully managed to smuggle a monkey from Thailand to America by hiding it under her shirt and claiming to be pregnant. But she was soon found out because, well, she decided to brag about what she did to a worker at a clothing store. Little tip, next time you do something illegal, you do something that you're not supposed to do, you do something that people aren't supposed to know about it, I think you shouldn't brag about it to total strangers. Next up, number 2, we have pigeons. Why would anyone want to smuggle pigeons is beyond me. I'm thinking maybe Mike Tyson tried to do this as well. I just finished Mike Tyson's book months ago. Very interesting guy, very fascinating guy, and I can't believe is he actually going to be making a comeback in his 50s? He's in absolutely good shape, way better shape than me. In his 40s, he got pretty big. He just lost all motivation. You guys are seeing this picture right here. This is actually Mike Tyson. It's not Photoshop. He put on a lot of weight. And here's a picture of Mike Tyson now. This is him in his 50s, and I believe he's going to be boxing again very, very soon. I'm pretty sure there's a match already sorted out for him. Well, apparently getting back to this pigeons, that I don't think it was Mike Tyson, although he had a fascination with pigeons. Well, a man in Melbourne was arrested after trying to smuggle 2 pigeons into Dubai. After being searched, the police found 2 pigeon eggs in a vitamin container and the 2 actual birds strapped to his legs. I mean, was he trying to relocate his pigeon family? Don't pigeons exist everywhere in huge amounts? Couldn't he have just gone to Dubai and, find a pigeon and call it his own? And finally, in at number 1, we have a whole zoo. I kid you not, a man from the United Arab Emirates was caught at the Bangkok airport trying to smuggle an entire zoo in his luggage. He had 2 baby panthers, 2 baby cheetahs, 2 baby monkeys, and 1 baby black bear. Most of them were drugged and stored in flat cages to limit their movement. I mean, this is just so mean. This is for sure animal cruelty at its finest. And it's pretty sad what people are trying to do. Imagine you being drugged up, and imagine you being put as flat as possible into a container and then flown for 10 hours. How would you like it?